I know. I'm a member of the NAACP, the Beloit chapter, as well as the League of Women Voters. I'm the moderator for tonight's forum. In service to the League's mission to encourage informed participation in government, the League and the NAACP sponsors candidate forums, a public venue for candidates to express their views and positions on issues that matter to you, the voter. The League and the NAACP are nonpartisan political organizations that neither support nor oppose political parties or candidates. I think I'm going to switch to a larger font. So this forum is being live streamed as well as recorded by the School District of Beloit. You will be able to find it on the school district YouTube recordings. There are 3 candidates running for 2 seats on the school board. They are, and this is in alphabetical order, Amy Levy, Ryan McDonough, and Brian Nichols, again in alphabetical order. Candidates, we want to thank you for being civically engaged and for your willingness to be here tonight to share your views so voters can make an informed choice on Election Day. Everyone, please join me in welcoming and thanking these candidates. That was practice applause. After this, there will be no applause until the end. So we wanted you to get it out and get those juices running. But we ask that you refrain from applause. We ask that you turn off your cell phones, please, and remain quiet. Wait until the end to generate your applause. You'll have time for that. Okay, we'll have questions. The questions that I will be asking the candidates tonight are a combination of those submitted in advance of the forum by the League's notice in public press releases and on social media, questions submitted from our in-person audience members, and 1 question each from the Beloit League and the NAACP. Candidate question cards and pencils are found on all the seats. Please raise your hand to have your card picked up, or if you need additional cards, you can submit questions in this manner throughout the forum. Can they practice raising their hand? Who will help them? You will come when they raise their hand? Okay. I see somebody has a card. Thank you, Saritha. Candidate questions received in advance of tonight's forum were previewed by League members who sorted them by topic, checked them for redundancy, and made sure they were relevant to all candidates, as the League does not accept questions targeted to a specific candidate. Questions received from the audience tonight will go through the same process. 2 organization members, 1 from each group, serve as our question checkers. We will turn to additional questions prepared by the League and the NAACP only if questions from the voters fail to fill the forum's 1-hour time frame. The League will do its best to be sure information in any question is accurate and truthful. That's our responsibility. It is not our responsibility to police the content of the candidates' answers or call them out for misinformation. We bring their views to the voters in this venue unfiltered, so you, the voter, can align your values with those of the candidate who you feel best reflects them. Okay? To the candidates, you will each have 2 minutes for your opening statement. We'll start with Brian Nichols. And then we will go in order. Amy Levy will be next, and Ryan McDonough will be third. So Brian, can we get your opening statement? No more than 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Angela. Well, it's nice to be here. Thanks for coming. I'm Brian Nichols, as Angela said. Been in Beloit about 2.5 years. Kind of moved all over the country. Grew up in Southern Ohio, West Virginia, and arrived in Beloit about 2.5 years ago. And glad to be here. And about 6 months into living in Beloit, the school district of Beloit caught our attention in the newspaper when I started taking it, and so kept a watch and read, and I decided it's time for me to step up and get into public service and try to help make a difference in the Beloit school system. It's important. Our teachers are important. That's the main thrust of my campaign. I say that they're supporting teachers so students can learn, and I don't think it gets any better than that. That's the way it was when I grew up, and I think it should be that way today. And I'm going to focus all my efforts on working with the teachers and the board, and of course ultimately the kids. They're the ones that make a difference, and they're going to be running this country in a few years, or city or state or whatever, and they need to have a great education. Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, I just want to start by thanking the NAACP Beloit branch and the League of Women Voters of Beloit for this opportunity to answer questions, prepared questions from the League and the NAACP and also from the audience. And thank you, Ms. Moore, for agreeing to moderate. Just as an introduction, my name is Amy Levy. I am a wife. I am a mother of 2 amazing students who are enrolled in the school district of Beloit and are thriving. I am a proud Converse Cougar. I am a McNeil Lancer, and I'm a proud Purple Knight, graduating in the class of 1996. I'm an HBCU graduate, completing my Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry from Alcorn State University. I am a Buckeye. Don't worry if there are any Badger fans in the room. I won't hold it against you. I'm finishing my MBA at the Fisher College of Business of The Ohio State University. And I'm also a licensed professional educator, licensed to teach business education, broad field science, and chemistry. In my day work, I am so proud to serve as the Racial Justice Director for the YWCA Rock County. The reason that I am running for re-election, I am very focused on a few things. Focused on student achievement, equity, and adherence to established board policy, to continue to be an advocate for family and community engagement with our district, to support decision-making that leads to financial stabilization, and to champion efforts outlined in our 2022 to 2025 strategic plan, which I'm so proud that this current board played a role in creating and finally approving. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Mr. McDonough.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Ryan McDonough. I'm a local business owner. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm the father of 3 boys and a stepfather of 2, 3 of which are attending UW programs right now. One has graduated from UW Platteville, and the other one's actually working for my business. My goals as a board member would be to have more achievement in the school system, safety in the classrooms, and support for our teachers. And I think there's many different ways of doing that. And I think those should be the main focuses of a school board member. I guess that's all I have for my open.
Thank you. Thank you, all candidates. We'll just review the timing a little bit. Our timekeeper is here on the front row so that each candidate can see her. And each candidate will have 2 minutes for their response. I'm not reading the script. And as they get close to the end, if they get close to the end, she will raise like a yield sign to tell them you're getting close. You have 30 seconds left. And once the time is up, she will raise the red sign indicating that the time is up. It's over. Okay, does everybody understand that? And of course, our candidates, we want them to understand that. All right. We'll go to the first question. And we will start in our other order with Amy Levy, number 1, Ryan, number 2, and Brian Nichols, number 3. So Amy Levy, why are you running to be on the Beloit School Board at this particular time?
Thank you. So the reason that I'm running for reelection is I am truly invested in the school district of Beloit and the city of Beloit, born and raised here. We have a lot of challenges facing our district. We have a lot of change that is coming up. I have been very proud of my service on the board over the last 3 years. Not many new board members are given a leadership role as soon as they enter the board, and I'm proud to have served as a chair for a couple different committees on the board and have been useful there and served as a resource to my colleagues on the board. I always come prepared. I ask thoughtful questions that I believe help us achieve better decision-making on the board. I am so proud that our current configuration of the board has finally instituted a practice where we are able to evaluate our superintendent, which is so important. We have been able to support staff through the decision-making on the board and providing a superintendent. We've had a lot of turnover, but I'm so excited that Dr. Garrison is here now and really working well with the staff. I want to continue to focus on the items I outlined in my introduction. We have a referendum coming up. We have reconfiguration coming up. And there are tough decisions that need to be made to make sure that our district is financially stable. I have a skill set. I have the patience. I have the experience as a board member and understanding the process that's going to be helpful as we continue to make difficult decisions on the board. And also, I'm running again because I love the school district of Beloit. We have so many amazing staff members and educators. We have some truly gifted and talented and amazing students who are involved in so many different activities and represent us well. And I want to continue to be a champion of the school district of Beloit to promote all of the wonderful things that are happening here and continue in my service as a board member.
Thank you. We will now move to Ryan.
I'm a Beloit resident, and I do believe that we need to focus on our children's future in this city, in the school district. And right now, our grade levels are not where they need to be, or our reading, writing, math levels are not where they need to be. That would be my main focus, would to have give support to the teachers, to provide them the resources that they need to be successful in the classrooms. And I really want to see more kids graduate from high school and be able to move on to college, move on to trade programs, be ready to be in the military if they choose to do so. But it requires reading, writing, and strong math skills. And I just believe that's the main focus we have to look at, is achievement in our schools.
Thank you. Brian?
Well, I think I might have got a little ahead of myself on the first question, but anyway, as I said earlier, my focus is the teachers, because they're the heart of the education system. They're with the students every day, face to face, teaching them the things that they need to know, and they need to have safe classrooms. They need to have very little distractions because they've got a challenging job in front of them, and again, the students learn when they're in a safe, disciplined learning environment, and they're gonna move on. And when they get out of high school, they've got a lot of choices to make. They can go to college and get a 4-year degree, a 2-year degree. They can go to a technical school. They can go into the U.S. military. Not everybody's going to be a doctor and a lawyer or, an engineer or whatever. There's a lot of different things so they need to be educated so that they can make the choices that they want to make to serve the community, the state, and the country. We just need to expand the vision for the kids of the marvelous choices that they have, and my wife and I come from a long background of a lot of teachers in our families, and we know how hard they worked throughout the years, and some of them are still working hard in the school system. So that's big reason I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. I just said a wonderful thing and you didn't hear me. I'm sorry. We'll start the next question with Amy Levy and Ryan and Brian Nichols.
Just a quick question. Since I started the last round, am I to start this round as well?
Well, let's go in that order. Thank you for asking. Please explain your understanding of the current referendums and whether you support them.
Excellent question. So our referendum that will be on the ballot for April 4th, has 2 questions. So they are both non-reoccurring. The first one has a 1-year term, and the second question has a 2-year term. So let's start with the first one. It's a facilities referendum in the amount of $19.5 million. Again, this is a non-reoccurring 1-year referendum ask for the facilities. The main use of that $19.5 million will be for HVAC upgrades, for school safety. Also included in that is the entry rate at Beloit Memorial High School, and also upgrades to our athletic fields. As many of you may or may not know, we have some very talented student athletes, and we have placed in those competitions in a way that would afford us to host events. But because our turfs and our fields are not up to code, we often have to play games that we should be hosting on other fields as a visitor. So that's included in the facilities referendum. The second question is an operationals referendum. It's non-recurring. It has a 2-year limit. The first year, the ask is for $9 million, and then the year after that, correction, the first year is for $14 million, and the second year is for $9 million. That portion of the operational ask will be used for technology, for curriculum and instruction, and for social, emotional, and behavioral health programs. So those are the 2 questions that are on the referendum, again, for April 4th. If this is approved, it will allow us to replenish our fund balance. As many of you are aware, per policy, our fund balance is recommended to be within 14 14 to 25% of our operational budget. We are currently just below that amount. Our fund balance is used for a lot of things. It's used if there's an unforeseen emergency that comes up in the district, to avoid short-term borrowing, if we have that cushion there. But the other thing that I want you to know about the referendum is if the referendum is approved, our mill rate that's currently at $4.78 will remain the same. And again, that second-year operational ask, if approved, the projected mill rate is expected to stay the same. So what does that mean for your pocketbooks? For every $100,000 of value that you have in your property, it will be a charge of $478. So if your home is more than $100,000, you would scale that up accordingly. We just had a decline in our mill rate. Prior to that, we had been holding steady right at $10.10. So we've had a drastic decrease in the mill rate, which is a discount to our taxpayers. And we currently have one of the lowest mill rates in the state. And the great news about the referendum is if it is passed, the projections is that your portion of the tax bill for the school district of Beloit will not increase. So it's able to provide financial support for the district so that we can implement with full efficacy our strategic plan without increasing your tax bill for the portion that goes to the school district of Beloit. And yes, I absolutely support the referendum, both question 1 and 2.
Thank you. Ryan?
Well, first of all, for the next board, it's really not going to matter on the referendum because that's an April 4th issue. So the next board is really not going to have any determining factors or determining decisions on that. But I do have some questions about it, or some concerns about it. Right now, our ESSER 3 funds today, we've spent $269,000, and those were from numbers today or yesterday, of over $18 million that we're supposed to be receiving, and they have not been used. So I do have a concern why that isn't being used for facilities, because that is one of the things in the ESSER program it can be used for, and it also can be used for educational materials. So I guess, to me, until I get a good explanation from the administration why we're not using that money, I would not support the referendum at this point. And that's
Thank you. Brian?
Thank you. The referendum, I sort of have questions about it too. I've been looking at some of the data, and I understand that we want to have a beautiful athletic field and a state-of-the-art field, and those are nice things to have. I was an athlete in high school, and but at the same time, I think we need to be good with the budget. We need to not be here in the first place. Yeah, I know that's easy to say, but we've looking at the data from the past few years, it looks like we've had declining enrollment, and now we're kind of paying for that, and looking for a referendum. I'm not 100% convinced that we won't have the citizens and the taxpayers of the city won't have increases in taxes in a couple of years after the first one would be paid off. So, actually the second one. The first one is general obligation bonds, so that could go on for 20 years to pay that one off. So I just think my background is in operations and sales, and I had to produce an operation budget every year. And you stuck to the budget. It was the needs, and then I had a capital budget that were the wants, and those sometimes got approved and sometimes didn't. So the operation budget is something that you're managing every single day of the year. You propose it, it's approved, and you have to stick to it. You don't go over it. If there's a rainy day, then you take care of that and move on. So I would be an advocate of more critical budget management than proposing a referendum. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question. What should the district be doing to address the issue of declining enrollment? And we will start with Ryan for this question.
I believe the way the district needs to address this is by focusing on getting the teachers what they want in the classrooms and improving on achievement. It all goes back to achievement. It all comes down to the students. If we want to draw people here, we do have great draws for students here. We have some great sports programs. We have some AP programs, great jazz band. Those are all positive things that can bring students here. I was listening last night. They were talking on the school board meeting about having a co-op for a hockey program. That brings students into the school, or at least onto our campus, and they get to see how things are here. So I think increasing enrollment, we really need to focus on the students and the teachers and classroom safety. I think if we can improve all of those things, I think enrollment should gradually increase just through success of our programs.
Thank you. We'll go to Brian next.
Thank you. Well, this goes back to the opening statement. We got to focus on the teachers. We got to give them what they need: safe classrooms, safe learning environment, so that they can spend all their time in the classroom with the students. The scores need to be improved, and that's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. I think the students' population will start to grow. It's gonna. It didn't get here again yesterday or just last year. It's been coming down for a number of years, which Dr. Garrison shared with us in one of the meetings. So we just have to be diligent and work the plan the work and work the plan, as we used to say, and give the kids the things that they need to be successful. I know there's one of the topics that's come up is mental health issues, and that's getting in the way of some of the learning, and we need to address that and get that taken care of so that nobody gets left behind. And the other thing, and I honestly don't know if we do this anymore, but I don't believe every student is ready to move forward next year. Not all the time. And I think we provide a disservice if we move a child ahead who's not ready to go. They might need to stay back a year, and then they'll progress and catch up with the others, and because if they go forward and they're not ready, then they're going to be farther behind. So that it's like a no-win catch-up. So that's my story. Thank you.
Just a procedural from the audience. Can you all hear Brian well? I don't hear him that well here. So, okay, good. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Yes, definitely.
More volume.
Well, I'm glad I said something. I'm sitting right up here.
Ms. Moore, would you mind repeating the question, please?
I would love to. And you're the last one to have this question, just so that you know. What should the district be doing to address the issue of declining enrollment?
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, declining enrollment is not unique to the school district of Beloit or even the state of Wisconsin. Schools across the country are experiencing declining enrollment, and according to DPI, that is actually projected to continue for the near future. Now, to the question of what the school district of Beloit can do, we have to tell our story. We have to focus on making our district the best possible option for all of our students in the city of Beloit. Hopefully, some or many of you have had the chance to visit our School District of Beloit website, which is beautifully maintained and shares a lot of the hard work that our district is doing, again, to promote the School District of Beloit. Things like our partnership with Care Solace. This is a partnership that connects students and families with mental and healthcare providers at no cost to them. It's confidentially done. Again, when we talk about mental health, this is a resource that is happening in the School District of Beloit. We can help promote and stick to the implementation of our strategic plan, which, if you're not aware, covers several areas, including culture and leadership, engagement, so that's student, family, and community engagement, equity, finance, and looking at the whole child, which is critically important. Just some recent stories. I always love sharing good news about the School District of Beloit and all of our amazingness. Thank you, 30-second warning. The walking school bus, which was a grant that has been given to Gaston Elementary School, which is going to help get our students safely to school starting this fall. Many of you are familiar with our jazz program. We, again, will be at our 11th year of Essentially Ellington. There's a new AP African American Studies course. Programs like our Loads of Success that works with our students and family, our Grow Your Own. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, what is your plan to make the School District of Beloit the best educational system in the Beloit area? And we'll start with Brian for this question.
Well, I think we need to build on the things that are working very well. It was mentioned about the jazz band and the walking to school. I mentioned that yesterday, and the AP classes. I guess we've got one of the largest slate of AP classes in the state, and those are all good things to build on. We need to make sure that all the kids coming up have the access to those opportunities, and again, I don't want to sound redundant, but at the same time, everything goes back to the teachers. It really does. They're the heartbeat of the school system, and I've got to meet several of them, and everyone I've met is smiling, and they're encouraged, and they're doing their job. They love doing their job, and we need to continue to give them what they need every single day to be successful and make the school district successful. I'm proud to be here in the city of Beloit. I really am, and the school system affects the entire city. It's the only thing that really affects the entire city all at the same time, and it builds for the future for the city. As I said earlier, the city, the state, and the country. So. Let's make the Purple Knights front and center, and unlike where they currently are. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to Amy Levy.
Would you repeat the question, please, Ms. Moore?
Yes. What is your plan to make the School District of Beloit the best educational system in the Beloit area?
Thank you so much. So I'm a firm believer in leading from your lane. There are specific roles for the superintendent and his administration, and there are roles for the school board, and I think we work best when we lead from our respective lanes. As many of you know, the three major roles of a school board member is to hire, support, and evaluate our superintendent, which we are doing, to review and edit policy, which is near and dear to my heart, and to approve an annual budget. Yes, we do other things like approve hires and curriculums, et cetera, but the day-to-day operations of the school board really is the responsibility of the superintendent and his very capable cabinet. So what can the school board do to move the district forward? Well, it's really simple. We can do those three major things that I outlined, and we can make sure that our superintendent, his cabinet, and his team throughout the district have the resources that they need in order to implement the strategic plan. So yes, classroom safety is important, academic achievement is important. Yes, making sure that we're tending to the needs of the whole child, which include mental health supports, social, emotional, and behavioral supports, which we are doing. So continue to not get in the way, but to lead by offering the resources needed so that the teams that are in place to handle the day-to-day management of the school district of Beloit can continue excellent work.
Thank you. And Ryan?
There are a few different things I would propose to the board and to the teachers and to the administration. I think one of the main things we need to do is to keep our great teachers and to offer teachers a good program. All right, so it'd be what I have planned, or what I think would be a great idea. All right, with the schools being shut down, we know that a couple of them are going to be shut down. What I'd like to see is maybe possibly having one of those provide childcare for the teachers, the young teachers. It's a good use of the space, and it would be a good incentive for teachers to want to work in the Beloit School District, a good incentive for them to stay in the Beloit School District. I also believe in online transparency, and what I mean by that is for the teachers and parents to connect online, have your homework assignments posted on there, reading assignments, and have it available to everyone. That'll get the parents more involved, and we really do need more parent involvement in the school system. And I believe if we did something like that, it would get more involvement. Parents would know what's going on with their students or with their children, and I think it's something we could do fairly easily. Everything else is online. I don't see why that can't be, and I know some of it is, but there are problems with actual access of the internet, and I do think that's something that would have to be provided to make sure every student does have access at home to the internet.
Excuse me.
And then also enforcing the code of conduct. I do believe that needs to be done, and it needs to be done by the book, by the policy of enforcing the conduct, or the code of conduct. And right now, there are multiple instances where that's not happening.
Thank you. Our next question. What would you suggest the district do to correct the budget problem if the referendum does not pass? And we'll start with you, Ryan, this time.
Well, I think one of the big things would be looking at the ESSER 3 funds. That's only a short-term solution. We have about $18.5 million remaining on that, and that could solve some of the short-term budget issues. The long-term budget issues, I think we have to be fiscally responsible. We have to spend on what needs to be spent on, and not have a wish list and a need list. That's what we need to do to balance our budget.
Thank you. Brian, same question, please.
Thank you. Well, as I alluded to earlier, I've had to balance budgets and provide budgets and so forth in my career, and you've got to balance your budget. I mean, it's critical. We all have checkbooks and checking accounts, and if we don't balance it, we can get in trouble. And so you have to. It takes a lot of time, and you have to look at every single expenditure or potential expenditure to see if it's needed or if it falls under the want category. I too agree that some of the ESSER funds could be used for the like the HVAC at the Beloit Memorial High School. That could come out of there, and you'd still have about $3 million, $3.5 million left to use for educational materials to help the students. We just have to analyze our decisions before we make them and put them on paper. And I understand that the school district is in a challenging spot right now, and we just have to manage it better, manage this expenditures better. That's it.
Thank you. Amy.
Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate the sentiment of wanting to manage our resources better. I just want to make a couple statements because everyone may not realize this, but there have been 0 increases in ongoing per pupil funding authorization by the state of Wisconsin for the last 2 consecutive years. So that's 0% increases in per pupil spending. Couple that with inflation, which I'm sure every household represented is aware of. So it's not a mismanagement of money, but there has been 0 increases in funding. There is inflation. There is not the rate of reimbursement for special education that was promised by the state for years and years and has never come to fruition. So this is a very nuanced situation that we find ourselves in. And again, the school district of Beloit is not unique in that aspect. Now, our budgets are fluid things, which is great. You don't want a budget that's static. The most recent budget that we passed projected a $4.5 million deficit. Is that great? No. Are we working to make sure that at the end of this budget cycle, we don't end with a $4.5 million deficit? Absolutely. For those of you that are following the work of the board closely, you will see that we had a presentation last night from Mr. Mark Duff, and Dr. Garrison helped with that. We have done strategic hiring freezes, which we have realized a savings of $1 million. So that takes our 4.5 deficit to now 3.5. And because we've done those freezes, that will have implications for next year. The reconfiguration and the repurposing of some of our buildings is also going to bring additional savings, and our superintendent and cabinet are always looking for ways to making sure that we are coming in at a balanced budget eventually. So those savings are ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Do you think it is important to fund diversity, equity, and inclusion? We'll start with Brian for this one.
Yes, I think it's important. I don't want it to be. I would not want it to be get in the way of educating our kids. There's a lot of things, obviously there's a lot of things going on around us in the country and in the city and the state. And, I quite frankly think we're a pretty equitable and diverse society. You look around the student population and the city population here, and I think we're a pretty diverse group. I've worked with very diverse groups my entire career. And I think we're doing a great job of working with diverse groups and being inclusive to bring everybody in. You can look around the room. We're all different, and that's good. That's what makes the world go round. So I think I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is good as it doesn't get in the way of educating the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy, same question.
Thank you. With all due respect, it is unclear to me how diversity, equity, and inclusion, and some add belonging to that as well, would have the potential to get in the way of educating our kids. It's imperative to the education of our kids and should be the through line of everything that we're doing. It's my assumption that we all want our kids to be global citizens, to be able to relate to, communicate with, have empathy for, and appreciation of the experience of other people and cultures. And that needs to, hopefully it has begun before they've reached our schools, but that's something that we are responsible for using as a part of the education of our students when we talk about the whole child. The other point that I would like to just be clear about is that diversity does not equal equity, and diversity does not equal inclusion. Putting a bunch of people in a room together that look different is great. Having them all sit at the table is great. But if you don't have a voice, if you don't have access, if you don't have agency, then we're missing out. So I think that diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is imperative. I think that is highlighted in the unfortunate situation that our students had to endure at the basketball game last week. I think it's not just imperative for our district, but for all districts that have our level of diversity, that have less, that have more, are doing equity work to make sure that we are respectful, that we are appreciative of cultures that are different than our own.
Thank you. Ryan, same question.
I do believe it's important. I don't know if the school system really should be spending a ton of money on that. I really do believe that we need to look at reading, writing, math, science, civics, history. I think those are the most important things that students need to get through high school. We need kids reading at grade level by the third grade. If they're not reading at grade level by the third grade, what's going to happen in the sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade? To me, I believe that's the most important. I do believe it is an important issue. I do believe equity is very important, but I think the main focus should be on our core subjects.
Thank you. Okay, our next question. What differentiates you from the other candidates? We'll start with Amy.
Well, thank you for the question. I don't know the other two gentlemen that I'm sitting next to very well, so I'm going to make some assumptions here. I think what differentiates me as a candidate for re-election for the Board of Education is that I am a product of the School District of Beloit. I want every student to have, you don't have to follow the same path, but to have the same opportunities that I had when I left the School District Beloit that prepared me very well. I was able to compete on any stage. I've been at HBCUs, I've been a student at PWIs. I've always felt competent and prepared and ready to compete with any other student that I was in contact with. I want that for our kids. If our kids want to go directly to work, if our kids want to do military service, whether that's trade, whether that is a traditional 2-year or 4-year college, I want them to have the confidence and the educational foundation to make choices that are going to serve them and their families. The thing that sets me apart is that I have experience on the board. I know how board work happens. I know how to get things done. I'm very proud of my 3-year record. I am comfortable with allowing my record to speak for itself. It may sound simple, but I read. I come to every school board meeting prepared to execute the business of the board. I don't take board decisions personally. I'm able to work with just about anyone. I don't let relationships or lack thereof get in the way of my decision making. I'm a champion and an advocate for our districts, our students, our staff, and our family. And I think the city of Beloit would be well served by having me reelected. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan.
I'm a local business owner, so I do understand what it takes to run a budget. We have to do it daily. We have to work with different vendors, different other businesses. So there's a lot of coordination that takes place. So it'd be similar to having to work with school administration and with teachers. You have to all work together to bring things together to make the job happen. And our job is to make the children better and to make them successful. I'm also a United States Army veteran, and I led a squad there, and I was in a NCO position in our battalion headquarters. So I'm used to working with multiple different groups of people. And those are my leadership strengths, my budget strengths. I also do care very much about children. I'd like to see these kids graduate and work for me or become my boss. It doesn't matter. To me, that's the most important thing, is to get our children where they need to be and where they want to be. And I will fight to do that. That's very important to me. And this community is important to me. It's keeping food on my table. I have great customers, so it is very important to me that everybody in the community is successful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Brian, the same question, please.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What differentiates you from the other candidates?
Thank you. Thank you for repeating. Well, I'm a people person. I always have been. I love being with people. I love sitting knee to knee with people and just talking about, whatever, whether we're working, whether we're having fun, whether we're at somebody's house, out in the yard talking to the neighbors. And, my career's mostly been in management, where I've managed other people, and sales and operations, and I enjoyed it. And it was always a diverse group of people, and we all got along. We built consensus. We worked together to make the outcome good for everybody. I've worked, and unfortunately I've worked with some folks that reported to me that had health issues, or a spouse had health issues, and I was always doing whatever we could as a company to make sure that they had all the benefits that they need to take care of their loved one, sometimes at the very end. And those are challenging times, but I always did it with a smile, with love and appreciation for the person that I was working with. So I walked into one of the schools the other day and I got a tour, and walked into a pre-K room, and the little kids all looked up at me, smiled, and waved at me, and that melted my heart, because I have, by the way, I forgot to mention, I have 6 grandsons and a great granddaughter, and and they're not here, so it was like grandpa by proxy. So it was and that's what I love to see, is seeing the kids in action. And if I'm elected, I'm going to be spending time in the schools. You can bet on that, and talking to the teachers and talking to the principals and the administrators. So I just think I'm cut out for this. So here I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So as we bring the forum to a close, I'd like to remind voters that this forum was filmed by the Beloit School District and will be available on their YouTube station. This concludes tonight's candidate forum. On behalf of all eligible voters, thank you, candidates, for your participation, and to all of you for attending. Betty?
2-minute close.
Oh, they get a 2-minute close. Oh, thank you. I don't see that in my notes. I certainly don't want to take that away. My goodness. Well, you get a 2-minute close to wrap up. And let's start with Brian and move to Ryan and then Amy. Thank you, Betty. This is an important part.
Yes, the closing.
Yes.
Well, for my closing remarks, I will just say that it's been an incredible journey so far in this process, and this tonight has been very good. I love seeing again all the smiling faces in the crowd or the audience, and I want to make you guys proud. That's part of my goal, is to make the citizens, the teachers, and the kids proud of having me working for them on their behalf. I want to help, again, I want to help the city and the school system be better and bring people into the community, and which will bring more students into the community, and it'll be rewarding in all respects of the process. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first, I would like to thank everyone here for having the opportunity to be here tonight. It's something a little different. I haven't done very many of these before, but it's been a blessing to see everyone, and I really am looking forward to working with you, the parents, the teachers, the community, as a school board member, and I will work hard and take questions. I'm not going to say anything from the bench. I'd want input from everyone to make decisions. And thanks again for having me, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Amy.
So again, thank you to the NAACP Beloit branch and the League of Women Voters of Beloit for this opportunity. Thank you again, Ms. Moore, for moderating this event, and to the gentleman to my left and to my right. It's been a pleasure to sit between you and answer questions this evening, so thank you for that opportunity. I am so proud of the campaign that I ran in 2020, and I'm equally proud of my last 3 years of service. Being a public servant is not always easy. It is time away from your family. It is, when done right, it's a lot of preparation, but it's all worth it. I believe that those who can serve and have gift and abilities to do so have a responsibility to do so. I'm so proud to have the support of the Beloit Education Union and the Beloit Secretaries Union. I hope that I have earned the votes of you in the room and those that are watching and that will watch. I am excited at the opportunity to continue to serve this district, but it's up to the community. And if the community says yes, then I am well prepared to continue my service. And I look forward to that opportunity, and just really grateful to have this chance to spend some time with each of you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes tonight's candidate forum. On behalf of all eligible voters, thank you, candidates, for your participation, and to all of you in the audience for attending. Please give yourselves a round of applause and a round of applause for these candidates. Thank you all. Have a great evening, and I certainly hope to see you at some place, but at the polls on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you.